Hi, I'm Crafty Patti, and today I'm bringing you another macrame tutorial. I was just trying to think of something that you'll have jars or you'll have containers probably at home, and you can still order the macrame cord or your string online that can be brought to your door. So to keep us happy and keep us content and keep you crafting, we're going to show you how to do macrame jar covers. Have a look around your house and I'm sure you're going to find a container that's going to work for this project. You can look for your vases that you might have stored away. Doesn't matter the height, doesn't matter the size. I've got 3 different sizes here. You can use a canning jar. These are little tiny yogurt containers and I've just recycled the jars. And how about maybe even a peanut butter jar? Doesn't matter. As long as it's got a little tiny bit of a bevel here. And it doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be a big bevel, as long as the macrame cover will stay up and it's not going to fall down. That's what you're looking for. Next, you want to decide what type of look do you want. Do you want a heavier look or do you want a fine, delicate look? If you've got a larger jar, then you can get away with using, say, 3mm macrame cord. I wouldn't go any thicker than that. You can choose to use your Bernat Handicrafter cotton yarn, and here's a little example of a jar I did up with using that cotton yarn, and that gives you the depth of what that looks like on a smaller jar. And the next step down from that would be a medium cotton twine. This one I did pick up from my local hardware store, or you can buy it online, and that will be a little bit finer than your cotton yarn. Or you could go to your dollar store, or you might even have some at home, and you can use the very inexpensive cooking or baker's twine. You'll want to get yourself a nice working surface. I've just taken 2 pieces of strong cardboard and taped them together, and you'll also want 3 sewing pins. This is going to be really handy for when we're using our base strings to tie on our long strands with the Larks head knot, and you'll see that coming up in the video. While you're working on your project, it's a good idea to have a little bit of weight so it just stays in place. So I've added some rocks to the bottom of my container, and that will just help to keep it solid. And I also have a piece of rubber, so when you're working on it, it's not going to move around, and that helps a lot. I'm going to be showing you 2 different ways that you can attach your macrame jar cover. One way is to use your stretch magic, which is stretchy cord that is used for making jewelry, so you can take it on and off. That's why I want to use it for this, because once you've got your jar cover made, what happens if you want to wash your jar or you want to just take it off and wash the cover, then you can just actually take your cover right off. So that's one way. The other way, I'm going to show you how I actually tie on 2 cords together to form my first knot, which becomes part of the cover. That one will be more permanent and that one will not come off. So choose the way that you want to do it. All of these supplies I will leave in the description box below, so don't worry too much about that I've gone too fast or you haven't seen brand names or whatever. I'll write it all down for you. That's that little tiny arrow to the bottom of the right. It's all down in there. Whether you choose to use your yarn, your twine, or your macrame cord, general rule to know how long to cut your cord lengths is just times it by 5. So, as a rough, it doesn't have to be exact, I just go a couple inches above. We just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I would cut it there, and I would cut my strands all the same length. You just take your height and times it by 5. So to demonstrate on how to make a permanent macrame jar cover, this is what we'll do. Again, starting from the very beginning, we're going to do approximately 5 times the height of the jar. I go a little bit above the jar. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And once I've got my measurement here, I'm also going to go around my top of my jar, and that's my total measurement. So this is what I need. So we'll cut that off. We'll make another one exactly the same size. So we're just going to fold these in half. There's our middle. So I found the middle. I'm just going to put my pin through those 2 pieces of string, just so I know approximately where the middle is. Next, if I measure around this lip of my jar, I measure about 9 inches, or that would be about 23 centimeters. So I measured around the jar, top of the jar is 9 inches. So here's my middle. And so I know I have to have about that many cords. I won't be coming right up to my edges, but it gives me a guide. So now I'm just going to take my cords and make a little bit of a slip knot. So I'm just making a little loop, and I'll bring those ends through there, and I'll just slip it on to my pin. And that will just hold them in place, and the same on the side. Again, make a little loop, bring those ends through the loop, and pop it over and pull it tight. Now I can take out my middle pin, and I can start adding all of my cords to my base cord. Now we need to cut all our strands that are going to attach to the string that we just cut. So if you've forgotten your measurement, that's okay. We can just come back and do it again. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It doesn't have to be exact. So let's see what we have here. So right now I've got approximately, there's 2 feet, and it's really close to 4 feet. So let's just bring that up, make it easy for calculations. So let's say we've got 4 feet altogether, which is 1.22 meters. So that works out perfectly, because now I can use my measuring omni-grid ruler to wrap my cords around many times, so I'm not having to cut one individually and another one. I can cut them all at once. And cut that last one off, and we'll come in and we'll just cut those right off. We've got our 2 base cords attached to our piece of cardboard. Take one of those cords that we've just cut, and we're going to fold it in half. Find your middle, place your middle over those 2 base cords, bring it to the inside, open it up, and pass those cords through to make your lark's head, and then pull it tight. You've now added 1 cord. So let's add another one. Again, over top, underneath, open it up, pass your cords through, and pull through, and you've made your lark's head again. Slip that up to the next one. So far, we have 47 strands added here, and our base cord that we're using to tie around our jar, this adds as 1, and this adds as 1. So we've got 47, 48, 49. I'm going to make one more, but I'm going to make this one longer, because in my design, I'm going to have some of my knots come through with the diagonal half hitch knots, and the base cord on the diagonal half hitch takes up a little bit more length of cording. So I'm going to make sure I've got one strand that can do all my double half hitches. So to measure up for that very last cord that we're going to add, here's my original 4 feet or 1.22 meters. From this point, I'm going to wrap around my jar. There's one length. And just in case I want to do another design like that, I'm going to just give it an extra round again. And that's going to be my final length. So we'll cut that off. So let's attach that to our board for our last string. Now what we're going to do is offset this one. So the one length is the same as the other strands. So just measure that down so it's about the same. And then that's going to be my middle now. And this one is going to be extra long. So I've got the length to wrap around for my double half hitches. So we're going to fold it right at that point and bring it around, and like the other ones, make our lark's head knot. Now we've added our last one. And again, as you can see, this one, just bring it up here. The one strand's the same length and the other one is longer. Now we're ready to attach it to our jar. So let's take it off our board. And we can just pull those slip knots out. And that one as well. Just pull that out. All our strands off the board, and I'll just take this to the back side so you can see what I'm doing here. So I'm now going to take this and I'm just going to make a basic knot, just half of a basic knot, just to hold it in place. Cinch it up tight. As tight as you can go. And then once you've got it nice and tight, bring those strands down and form your 4 strands that you would to make a square knot. Now take one to the right, hold the 2 in the middle, and we're going to make our first square knot. So left over those middle cords, hold with your thumb, right over, behind, and through the hole. And now cinch that up really nice and tight. And then pull down on the other 2. And make sure you've still got some security and it's good and tight around. So we've done the first part of our square knot. Now we're going to start on the right side, right over, left over, behind, and through. And finish off your square knot. And now you've got all your cords secured. Now you can go around and just pull them a little bit, and so they're all evenly distributed around your base cord. This is where you've tied your knot. Now what we're going to do is we're going to split that in half, and we're going to go around the whole way, and we're going to do one square knot to tie these all in and secure them all. So again, left comes over the 2 middle cords, hold with your thumb, right comes over, behind, and through the hole, and pull through. Bring that up to the top. And this first row I want you to do on the tighter side, it just will snug up our first row there. And again, right over, left over, behind, and through. That's our first one. And then grab the next 4. Find your 2 middle cords. Again, left over, right over, behind, and through. Cinch up tight. And right over, left over, behind, and through. This is where we tied our base cords together to mount it onto our jar. So do make sure that you have done your square knot right below our tie on. And now the next thing I want you to do is, don't worry about where that extra long cord is. It doesn't matter where it is. I want you to go around and find groups of 20. This just happened to be my last knot. So then we've got 4, 8, 12, 16, and 20. And for each grouping of 20, you can just tie a little loose knot, just flip it over like so, bring it through, and you can just pull it down into a very loose knot. Now once you've got all your 20 sections, you can take one apart, and what we're going to be doing is forming a triangle. So find the middle. Here's your 2 knots here, there's 2 more, and here's your middle. So from our middle 4, we're going to divide that in half, and we're now going to do alternating square knots. So we're taking these 2 and 2 from the next beside it, and we're making another square knot. There's that one. Now I'll come over and find the next 4, 2 and 2, and you can see that right above is where we formed our square knot on this side and this side, and that's why we're alternating. So we're putting these ones together and we're alternating our square knots to make a triangle. And now because we've separated our groups of 20, you'll see in this grouping there's 2 left over on the end, and those will not get worked. So let's come over to the other side now. Grab our next 4. Next 4, and you'll see that there's 2 left over that will not be worked. We finished our first row here. Now we're going to come back and make another row and keep forming our triangle down. So this is the last 4 cords that we work with. We're going to leave 2 more out. We're going to come back and do another row of alternating square knots. And you can see how there's 3 coming down on this side and 3 coming down on this side. So you know that you're going to take 2 more away, come back the other way, and alternate the next row again. Okay, so now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to end off in the middle with our last one. So grab the 4 middle cords and we finish off our last square knot to form our triangle. And there we go. So do the same on all your other sections. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 more to do. Now we're going to do double half hitches to accent our little triangles. So take one of your sections of 20 cords and we'll undo our little loose knot. And we're going to take our outside cord, and this is now going to be our base cord, and we're going to make our double half hitches so they form right along our triangle. So this is our base cord. find your next cord that's underneath. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a little loop like so. And we're going to pass that loop through that hole. You're going to let that just form a little circle, a little loop around your base cord, and let that go all the way up. We're going to do that again. Loop, bring it through, and you can always use your thumb to push it up so it continues to make that nice, perfect little round around your base cord. Take the next one, same thing, form your loop, bring it through, and again. Here's our last knot, and this will be the last one we're going to do on this side. There we go. And now we're going to come over and we're going to do this side. Again, take our last cord. This is going to come over, and this is going to be our base cord. And now we're going the other way. So find that first cord underneath. Again, going to make a little loop, and we're going to pass the end through the hole. Let that scroll up and wrap around your base cord. Again, loop, bring it through, and let it wrap around. Take the next one, again, loop and through. And here's our last one. And then to join them both together, we're going to take our one from the right side and do one more to join them together. And there you have it. And now you're going to do the same thing for the other sections. For our next little section, we're going to be making what I like to call little eye windows. So this is how we do it. We have the groups of 20 together, so now we're going to take these apart and divide them in half. So now we'll have 10 cords for this section and 10 for the other section. So here's my 10 here. And I'll grab the 10 from the side. And here's our base cord, and we're going to take the first one, loop it around, and as always, let that loop around and just bring it up until it's sitting nice and level with the row above, bringing it down and through the loop as always. Bringing it up and finishing off that one. Let's take the next one. Same thing. Just letting it loop around, push it up, and finish it off coming through the loop. And you can see underneath, you can tell that I've got one more to go. There's my last one. And that's that side, and now we'll do this side. This is now our base cord, and we're following along the same line as this. Taking this first outside cord, wrapping it around, sliding it up so it's level with our last row, and finishing it off. And grab the next one. I just realized that my hand was in the way, so hopefully you've got a better viewing from the side. So again, base cord, taking my next one, and around we go. And we're going to finish it off with a square knot. So I'm taking 2 cords from my left, 2 from my right. Again, finding our 2 middle cords. I'm going to have my left coming over my 2 middles, holding behind, bring that through, work it up to the top, and the right over, left over, behind and through. And then once you've got it up at the top, I'm just going to pull down on these cords on both sides, making sure it's even, and then tighten up my square knot. And there we go. We've made another eye. And now just go around and do that to each one of your sections. Now remember how I got you to cut one strand that was a lot longer than the rest? Find that long strand, and here it is here. And what we're going to do now is do double half hitches and follow this line, and we're going to be going all the way around with it. And now I'm coming up this way, so that's how I'm going to pull my base cord. So it'll be up like this. So find the next one, which is this one, the next one in line, around we go. Then find the next one. Pull it up every time so it's close to this last row. So we've gone up, and now we're going to come down. When you've done your last double half hitch, here's my first one, here's my last one. So now what I'm going to do is grab this base cord and another one just before it, and these two, and I'm going to make a square knot. And now I'm going to make one more square knot. So go around and grab your next set of 4, again, 2 square knots. And then once you've gone all the way around doing 2 square knots, you're going to come back and we're going to alternate with 2 square knots. So take your square knots, divide them in half, 2 from this side and 2 from this side, and we're going to alternate with 2 square knots. And these ones I'm pulling a little bit tighter, because, as you know from many of my other videos, I do design as I go, and I just see what's going to work with what I'm working with. This particular vase is got a little bit of a contour where it comes in again. So what I want to do is have these last rows just suck it right in, so it really holds it nice, keeps my design all flat against the vase. So that's what my intention is for this last part of the design. I've done 2 rows of alternating square knots, and I'm going to end with a 3rd row of alternating square knots, and then I'll be cutting off my fringe. Now just go around and make sure that it's sitting even around your container, and then just make sure all your strands are nice and straight. Come in with your scissors, match up your scissors to the bottom of your container. You can angle slightly up so it's just slightly shorter than the bottom, and around we go. And just sit it down and make any further adjustments to the fringe. So this one is nice and delicate with the finer cotton twine, and this time I'm going to use a macrame cord on the magic stretch cord that we can take off. I'm going to be using 3mm macrame cord by Suntech, and this one I did get off Amazon online. Stretch Magic. I'm using a 1.5mm in clear. So take your Stretch Magic, bring it around, leave enough to tie a knot, and cut it off. And then once you've cut your length that you need, just give it a pre-stretch by pulling on it. Stretch it out a bit. Let's wrap the Stretch Magic around the back of our jar, even amount of lengths in the front, and we're going to make 2 square knots. So I'm going to bring my left over my right, bring it through the back, pull it tight. We started with the left. Now we're going to start with the right. That comes over the left, through the hole. Make sure that first knot's tight. Let that one slide up, pull it really tight. That first one is not going to lock it in, so we need to do that again. Left over the right, through the hole, pull it really tight. Then right over the left, pull it through the hole. And again, pull it really tight till it locks in. And I'm saying really tight. There. Once it's locked in, you're good to go. I'm now going to come in with just a drop of the Beadalon GS Hypo Cement. And this jewelry, and this type of jewelry glue has got a really, really fine little point on the end, so it's really easy to get that glue right where you want it. And I'm just going to apply it right onto the first part of that double knot, square knot, and the last part. Same process, taking your cording and measuring out your 5 lengths. And I'm going to be basically using the same measurements I did for the little one because I did have a little bit left over. So again, I'm going to be cutting 4-foot lengths. This time with using the stretch cording, I can just take this right off once it's dried. So I'll just slip this onto my board. Take one of my cut cords, fold it in half, and again as before, attaching it with the lark's head knot. There's my knot, so I'll just come right over that and cover it with my macrame cord. And here's my loose ends I didn't cut off, and I'll just wrap around those. So I ended up putting all 50 strands on. So now I can just slip that right over the top of my vase. Beautiful. That's going to work really well. I was going to make a totally different design on this one for you, but now I've decided to duplicate this pattern because then you'll really get an idea on using the different types of material, how it just changes it up a little bit. So I will continue to finish up this one and then I'll show you the final reveal. Well, here we have 3 different sizes of jars that I've made beautiful macrame jar covers, 3 different types of material. And we made this one that's permanent that you won't be able to remove from the jar. And this one we made with the stretch elastic. So if you want to change up your covers or you want to remove it to wash your cover or your jar, you can take it off and put it back on. So if you like a heavier look, the macrame cord works out really nicely. And if you want a little bit of a finer look, then this was the cotton yarn. And my favorite is the medium cotton twine that I used for this one. I really think that the type of twine and the weight of it works really well and matches the size of jar beautifully. So now you can enjoy them and hopefully it will bring you some relaxation. Pop some candles in here, place them on your table or your mantle, watch the beautiful reflections coming through the patterns that you've made. or use them as they were meant to be for vases. If you've used your vases for your jars, and put some beautiful flowers in them and enjoy them that way. Until next time, stay healthy, relax, try not to stress, and bye-bye for now.